Objects falling from height are an ever-present hazard that have the potential to injure people at work and at home. In fact, around the world, dropped objects are responsible for many fatalities every year. Because when an object falls from height, it picks up speed and power very quickly, becoming extremely dangerous. In our industry, dropped objects present a potential hazard each and every day. We know the risks, and we have many controls and barriers to prevent incidents, but they still happen, too often. In fact, in our industry, dropped objects are one of the most frequent incidents that have the potential to injure or kill, and yet they are preventable. Everyone, whether they work in an office or on the front line, has a role to play by looking at every job as having the potential for a dropped object that could endanger you or your colleagues. This video looks at 3 common situations where there can often be dropped object incidents: working at height, fixed objects and structures, and lifting and hoisting activities, and assesses how the incident could have been prevented. Behind every dropped object, there's a story, and we're all part of it. We all have a shared responsibility to prevent them from happening. It's a Tuesday morning, and a new tank is being installed in a downstream facility as part of an expansion project that's been planned for a long time. An integrity test has been successfully completed, and the tank is being prepared for the connection of piping and equipment. Everything seems to be as it should. The hazard assessment and toolbox talk have been conducted. Tools are secured by lanyards. Bolts, gaskets, and nuts are in buckets, and there's matting over the grating to stop anything falling through the gaps. The area below the tank is barricaded off. We are fully prepared and ready to start. What just happened? A technician removes a blind flange, but just as he completes the job, it slips out of his hands. The absence of netting allows it to fall. It could easily have killed someone, even though they were standing outside the barricaded area. Why did the incident happen? When dropped objects fall, they don't always fall in straight lines, and being behind barriers does not automatically mean you are in a safe place. Was the blind flange even identified in advance as a potential dropped object? Sometimes all the tools, the bolts and fittings taken onto a job, are identified as dropped object risks. But materials that are already there, such as temporary construction materials, can get overlooked. So the risk that the blind flange presented was not discussed in the toolbox talk. If it had been identified, a colleague could have been assigned the task of holding onto it after it was removed. The drops calculator shows that the flange had the potential to kill. Just because an object is fixed doesn't mean it doesn't have the potential to fall. Even objects that look firmly secured can come loose and fall. This carbon steel bolt became corroded over time, and though it was securely fixed onto the structure of an offshore platform, it has eventually come loose and dropped onto a walkway. Lots of people saw it, but no one picked it up or reported it. Eventually, it just became normal to see a bolt lying on a walkway. So, what happened? The incident can be traced right back to the project engineer's design, which mixed carbon steel bolts with a stainless steel angle iron. The mixture of metals meant that the bolts corroded and ultimately failed. But the corroded bolt was a clue about what might be about to happen. If you find any object that appears to have fallen, you should always intervene by reporting it, so that colleagues can investigate where it has come from, because it could mean that another, perhaps larger part of the infrastructure could also now fall. But despite a design flaw, the incident was preventable. Everyone who saw the fallen bolt should have reported it, and prior to that, a strong inspection regime would have spotted that a fixed object could be about to become a dropped object. 16 kilograms, falling 3 meters, can be deadly. The same Tuesday, and a supply vessel is making a delivery to a drill ship. It's a routine job, the weather is fine, and the crane operator, the banksman, and the storeman have done this kind of work more times than they can count. Part of the job requires gas cylinders to be delivered to the drill ship. Why did that incident happen? We can see that the tagline gets caught on a piece of equipment, causing the load to tip and a small bottle to drop 7 meters. A near miss. Was there adequate planning and preparation for this job? The rack wasn't designed to carry different size bottles. No one involved in the lift noticed that, or that the tagline could get caught on a piece of equipment. Thorough job preparation is vital. Inspect the work area and equipment carefully. What could become a dropped object? Ensure that there is good communication between the crane operator and the banksman. And in the toolbox talk, discuss the potential for dropped objects. They can come from unexpected places. That bottle weighed 7 kilos, and it fell 7 meters. It could have been fatal. 2 of those workers got to go home at the end of their shift. One didn't. She suffered life-changing injuries. But all 3 were fortunate not to lose their lives. We all want to go home safely at the end of our shift or our time away to see our families and to carry on our lives. But if you are struck by a dropped object, you might not be able to do that. Dropped objects can be lethal. If it doesn't kill you, it can seriously harm you or a colleague. But they're not inevitable. We can prevent them. Whether you're building something, or in the office planning work, or on site just before a job gets started, you can prevent an object from dropping. Whether it is when working at height, noticing a fixed object that could drop, or ensuring a safe lift, you have the power to stop the drop.